This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MyLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.
It's Tuesday, March the 10th, 2015, and this is your Barbados Today morning news update. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Good morning. We begin with news that school children who misuse government's free bus rides could soon end up having to pay. Transport and Works Minister Michael Ashley says his ministry will be taking a closer look at the bus fares, especially for students who linger beyond the start of the morning school bell and late on afternoons. He made the revelation as he outlined details of a 6-month pilot project to help with the efficiency and costs operating transport board buses, including the inclusion of private drivers operating from the Fairchild Street bus terminal.
The pensioners and the school children will still ride on the vans free, although I think that we have to take a look at the school children riding on the public transportation bus free. Okay? Especially those that decide that they're going to be in the terminal and like book in the terminal past school time. And I'm talking about past school assembly time and way after hours in evening before the excuse.
The next general election may be constitutionally 3 years away, but Prime Minister Freundel Stuart has already taken steps to improve aspects of the electoral process that are likely to be discussed in Parliament today. A bill to amend the Representation of the People's Act is among 16 items of government business on the order paper for today's sitting. This bill, which is in the Prime Minister's name, is intended to make better provision for the duties and functions performed by election officials. It will also make better provision for the preparation and maintenance of the register of electors. In fact, a related measure, the National Registration Bill, that's also in Stuart's name, is down for debate as well. This permits the Electoral and Boundaries Commission to compile a database to be known as the National Register. This electronic facility provides for the registration of citizens of Barbados, persons who are not citizens but are residents for 6 months or more, and the issuing of new ID cards with new national registration numbers. Meanwhile, Opposition Leader Mia Mottley is expected to move a motion of no confidence in House Speaker Michael Carrington during today's sitting. That plan has already been strongly criticized by Cabinet Ministers Ronald Jones and Dennis Kelman, who cited it as an excuse for the opposition team to return to the chamber after boycotting the House, insisting that they would stay away until a legal matter involving the Speaker was determined by the Committee of Privileges. That matter is still to be ruled on by the committee. Almost a decade after being granted the right to freely ply their trade within CARICOM, domestics and artisans from Barbados are still not being allowed to do so. Executive Director of the Barbados-based Caribbean Policy Development Center, Chantel Monroe-Knight, says even though these groups of employees were granted the right to move and work without a work permit at least 6 years ago, provisions are still not in place to make it possible. Monroe-Knight says domestics and artisans from other Caribbean territories are also experiencing the same stumbling blocks. Speaking to Barbados Today on the final day of a workshop at Blue Horizon Hotel yesterday, she said the CPDC will therefore have a final draft of recommendations completed by month end for submission to the heads of government, urging them to fully implement all the mechanisms and processes required for these workers to make a living.
In order for these groups to move, they have to have a skill certificate, right? In order to get the skill certificate, you have to have this Caribbeanification or qualification or the CBQ, right? And in many countries, the CBQ regime is not yet fully established. So again, even if I want to move, the mechanism that would allow me to move may not necessarily be in place, because now we would have to ask the question whether or not now a domestic from Barbados can actually, in fact, get a skill certificate from Barbados to be able to move, or can get a CBQ. Is the CBQ regime actually established? Is there a national process for accreditation established in Barbados? So that you have those sorts of issues on the table.
Monroe Knight also said that the Shanique Myrie ruling by the Caribbean Court of Justice is something important to hold on to in arguing a strong case for free movement by artisans and domestic workers.
Well, the Shanique Myrie case has given the overarching, I don't want to say, I want to call it mandate, or perhaps legal obligation, let me say legal obligation on states to understand that community law has to be given precedent over their national laws, and they cannot use anything within their national laws to suggest that people are not going to be given their rights that have been given them under the regime. And that is important. And it's important as well, let me say, not only in terms of what happened, the final decision. It was important because of who Shanique Myrie was, okay? As an ordinary Caribbean woman. And that, to me, should have sent or has sent to our stakeholders, you know, that it doesn't matter, status does not matter.
A high incidence of violence against women and women occupying low-income jobs are two of the major setbacks preventing Barbados and other Caribbean countries from achieving gender equality goals. Just 2 days after International Women's Day, this reminder is coming from the officer in charge and program specialist of United Nations Women, Gabrielle Henderson.
We still have not achieved substantive equality, where our laws and policies may speak to equality between women and men. Substantively, we have not yet achieved that equality, in that we still have women occupying the lower paid jobs, and we still have the most significant form of gender-based discrimination, which is violence against women.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Secure your future, be financially strong. Since 1983, we have been there for you. A smart range of products, great tax benefits. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. Humble beginnings to smart loans, smart savings. Save smart and borrow smarter. That's the move for me. Stability, prosperity. We're the solution to your hopes and your dreams. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union. The Barbados Workers Union Cooperative Credit Union.
Welcome back with news from the region that LIAT is warning of possible cancellation of flights and delayed baggage for passengers traveling to and from Dominica and or St. Vincent and the Grenadines. The airline says this is due to seasonal high winds in both countries. In a statement issued yesterday, the company said its aircraft have tailwind limitations, which are set by the manufacturers during the certification process, and they are therefore not permitted to take off or land when the prevailing winds are beyond these limits. And LIAT cautioned that the departure out of E.T. Joshua Airport and the night landings into Douglas Charles Airport are affected by tailwinds, and therefore the decision to cancel flights is taken in the interest of safety. And finally, this intriguing story from the international scene. A 10-year-old girl from the UK's West Midlands region is causing a stir in academic circles for all the right reasons. Esther Okade, a British Nigerian, stands out because she is a university undergraduate and one of the country's youngest college freshmen. The talented 10-year-old enrolled at the Open University, a UK-based distance learning college, in January, and is already top of the class, having recently scored 100% in a recent exam. The little girl says the exam involved the type of maths she loves, Real maths, she said, theories, complex numbers, all that type of stuff. Esther explained that it was super easy. But even more mind-boggling, this infant wants to finish the course in 2 years, then go on to do her PhD in financial maths when she is 13, and have her own bank by the time she is 15, because she likes numbers and people. And that's our Barbados Today morning news update, but you can join us again this afternoon. Until then, remember to log on to www.barbadostoday.bb, subscribe to our e-paper and email updates, or like us on Facebook. You can also catch us on Izumi Media in bus terminals or screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. Also tune into Channel 101 on Lime TV and Mix 96.9 FM to get all the latest news and sports. I'm Emmanuel Joseph. Have a fantastic day.
This news update is brought to you by...
So, I'm meeting Rico later. Gotta check in with the girls, but first, let me check my usage on the MyLime app. Now, what should I wear? Hashtag sexy. He's here.